Listen, kid. There are two things you don't know about the Earth. One is me, and the other is Godzilla.
It's Screonk, a Godzilla movie marathon where we're stomping through Godzilla's filmography. I'm Derek, and I've seen all the Godzilla movies.
And I'm Doug, and I've seen 36 Godzilla movies and 2 era finales.
Yeah, baby. And we're talking about the 29th film in the Godzilla franchise, the 50th anniversary film for Godzilla, the final film in the Millennium era, and what would be the final Godzilla film for an entire decade, Godzilla Final Wars, also known as Gajira Finaru Wozu, which of course is Godzilla Final Wars, premiered in Los Angeles, funny enough, on November 29th, 2004, but then officially released in Japan on December 4th, 2004. Directed by Ryuhei Kitamura, written by Isao Kiriyama and Motaro Mamura, special effects by A. Chiyasuda, produced by Kazunari Yamanaka, with a score by Keith Emerson, with Nobuhiko Morino and Daisuke Yano. And of course, I'd like to take a quick moment to thank our spectacular patrons, Bo, Carl, Katie, Jason, Zoe, James, Keith, Cody, Toby, Hamish, Jace, Joe, David W., David A., Russ, Christian, Reed, Ben, Stuart, Will, Marilee, Robbie, Tyler, and Preston.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have done enough reading of names. We have to get to our guests for this absolutely wild bonkers movie. I'm sure this is going to be a totally normal, calm episode. You last heard her on our Destroy All Monsters episode, another pretty wild, chaotic monster team-up movie. Back with us today, we have streamer, voice actor, and radio host, Lauren Goodnight. Lauren, how's it going?
I am so glad to be here. Oh my goodness. Being able to do this again for the postmodern version of Destroy All Monsters. I'm really, really excited. They're very similar in some very specific way.
Yeah.
Oh, the scripts. Oh.
Well...
Oh, the script.
The script. Arguable if you could define it as that, but sure. Yeah, there are words. I'm sure there were words written on a page. For sure. Somewhere. Obviously, back in that episode, you talked about your whole backstory with the Godzilla in general. However, I am very curious because when we were recording that, you were like, you have to have me on for Final Wars. What is your experience and connection to this particular Godzilla movie?
I like Godzilla films that have a bunch of monsters and a lot of fighting and a schlocky, stupid plot with at least one redeeming characteristic for the main characters and, you know, some good music. And this was well orchestrated. It had the stupidest plot, like truly just this is smooth. It's smooth brained. It is a smooth brain plot. And just the writing is wretched, but it's so much fun. It's one of the most fun, I believe, of the films. It's right up there with Destroy All Monsters and King of the Monsters.
Right. I don't think it is a surprise that this is a divisive film within the Godzilla oeuvre.
No way.
Yeah. Doug.
Hi.
You didn't know what you were getting into with this one, did you?
No, I did not. I sure did not. The one thing I knew was in this movie for approximately 10 seconds. So...
Oh, Zilla 98.
No,
I didn't know
actually,
that.
funny enough.
I did not know that was happening.
Someone slipped and mentioned that there's a Ghidorah in Final Wars forever
There
ago.
was
Right.
a Ghidorah for like
Yeah.
20 seconds.
Right. So for a couple months now, I've been trying to figure out, just without looking at anything, so it's just been stewing in my head in a vacuum, how Ghidorah would come back for a finale movie. And Ghidorah is barely in this movie.
You've been like
They like dredged him up, threw him against a building with the lobster and said,
Yep.
fuck it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Beautiful work. Absolutely. Just,
Yeah.
You've
guys,
been
this film.
clinging to that detail for so long, and like that being the only thing you know about this movie of all the things that are in and a part of this film is so funny.
Yeah.
to me.
So yeah, right. Ghidorah is
That's
the
what
one.
you get.
Yeah, Ghidorah is the one thing that I knew for a while, and then by process of elimination, I knew that Gorath was in some way a part of this because we watched that movie. And nothing had come of it yet. So I was like, well, it has to come up. Like it's got to be here somewhere. So that's truly all I knew going into this. And every piece of this was a surprise. From the beginning, from the opening credits, everything was truly wild.
No, that's absolutely like the way that it should have been.
Yeah.
You won.
I feel like I have a pretty rare experience and I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what do you are you thumbs up or thumbs down on this one? I truly have no idea like how you would feel about this movie.
I mean,
honestly.
how would you predict? There's literally no other Godzilla movie even remotely like this one. Like obviously there are comparisons to other movies, but as far as like
There's nothing like this one.
there's no other Godzilla movie that feels like this, and because this is the last one in the era, no other Godzilla movie will ever feel like this. So it's, I don't know how you could ever predict who's gonna like it and who's not, because there's no point of reference at all. Yeah, I don't know that I could call this a good movie, but I can't say I don't like it either. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's there's something like deeply compelling about the entire package of it, and it's hard not to find something in this movie to be delighted by because they just throw everything at you, and that doesn't necessarily make for like a high quality script or movie or like sometimes viewing or listening experience, but it does mean something in there is something you like.
Oh, I'm so glad. I agree with you. This film is such trash and it's so much fun.
It's fast food. Like it's more fast
is.
food than I think any movie we've talked about has been.
Yeah, but it's like special fast food. It's like if you go to another country and eat their fast food, that's what it tastes like. Like if you go to Saudi Arabia and eat Mr. Cod's, if you go to Japan and you eat Mr. Donut, you go to England, you eat Nando's and Costa.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, I mean, especially when you don't know what you're getting into, you can't not just like let this thing kind of wash over you, I think, because it's literally unpredictable at a certain point.
So much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much.
It's, I mean, I was taking notes, but looking back at my notes, it's literally just like lists. It's a massive list of just names. Like that's all it is. Like
My
there's
list
almost
right
nothing
here,
else like that I could like take a breath to take a note on. You know, it's a truly wild movie. And I think it's I think it's special for sure. It's so wildly unique, and I don't really know what to make of it. And there's so many things about it that I'm sort of like, I don't know that I would like this in any other experience. But like I said, as a whole package, it's hard not to just be like you said, Derek, it just kind of washes over you the first time you watch it.
Yeah. I remember when I watched it for the first time, and like I was aware that it was a movie that had a lot of creatures in it, so I was like prepared for that. I just wasn't prepared for like the tone. I think that's a big part of this movie is like, oh, I've seen kaiju movies where there are many kaiju in it, but like the way that they are presented and designed and the fighting styles and all the human stuff and everything and mutant stuff, like that's stuff that feels so completely like mind-bogglingly weird and different. And so I remember like the first time I watched it, I was sort of like, I don't think I liked this, but I also did not like it. So I don't really know how to, but it was just like, it's interesting to engage with as a piece of Godzilla history, but I'm like, I don't know if I like this as a movie. However, having like sat with it for a long time, and then like when I was rewatching it for this podcast, I was having a goddamn blast like the entire time.
Right.
Like,
that's fucking right.
Right. Like when you know what it is and what you're expecting and are prepared for it too. And it's like, I know what I'm signing up for. Like this is like capital P popcorn film. Like that is what it is. And if you're in the mood for that and like maybe a little bit of edible, you know, like that helps too. Like it's a fucking blast. And I think that's just kind of where you got to meet it at, you know.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, I think I have a rare experience in that I can't imagine there are many people who know nothing about this before they watch it.
Sure.
But also I've been watching, you know, a Godzilla movie every month for like the past 3 years. And so it's just, I'm not watching it like completely out of the blue. It's not like, oh, I've seen every Godzilla movie and now here's my new Godzilla movie that I'm like excited is the new Godzilla movie, you know? So like I had no choice but to meet it where it was, because I've met every single one of these where they are. So I do think it's like easy for me to see this, like you said, as just like a piece of Godzilla history. And I also think like this, like I could totally understand, and I'm sure I will run into plenty of people who are sort of like, that movie sucks and I hate it. And I get that.
Oh, no, they're categorically wrong.
Well, it's
because the movie is absolute buns, total cheeks. But it's so good.
But the thing is,
in a
like,
way.
I wouldn't disagree with somebody who says like that's not a good movie, but I think it's also one of those things where like it's not a mistake either. Like it's nothing that's happening in this is. If you watch this movie and you're like, oh, that looks bad, or that feels bad, or that writing is bad, or that acting is bad, like I get that reaction, but this whole movie can't exist for 2 hours and accidentally be the way that it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't get bored during those 2 hours, except like 2 or 3 places where it kind of drags. But hey, if you watch it at 2 times speed, it runs right by.
I
don't know that I'd survive.
I don't know my brain could handle that.
Oh,
that's incredible.
That was rough.
Yeah.
I've watched it regular speed a whole bunch of times, but and recently. And I was like, I wanted to double check and I wanted to make sure that I had the pacing right and it was going to be good. I had my notes ready. I watched the whole film on 2 times speed. I have so much to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think too that it's like the farther away you get from when it came out, the more that it feels like, I know it's not literally a period piece because it's kind of like takes place in the future and stuff, but like, this is the most 2004 movie that has ever been made. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the other thing too, is like, if you think of other movies that are sort of its contemporaries, a lot of what's happening makes sense. I mean, like, this is the kind of further out than some of the other things I want to mention, but like Blade was pretty recent. The Matrix just happened and it's all over this movie. 28 Days Later just happened. Resident Evil, Underworld, Rollerball, like all these like really like over the top kind of ridiculous filmmaking style movies, some of which obviously are more successful than others.
It's not always an aesthetic that I love from that time period,
for sure.
but obviously that's the intention, is to sort of match that with this movie.
Well, and 28 Days Later is a movie I don't like the aesthetic of, but I appreciate it deeply, like for what it's doing, you know, like, and it's not a mistake. So it's a fascinating movie. This is a fascinating movie.
To your point, so much of this movie, like when you read about who was involved and everything, it is all intentional. Like nobody working on this film is under any impression that they're making like high art. They know that they wanted to make an action movie and they did. And like the idea of this being a 50th anniversary movie, that was in the air for a while they were making the previous movie, Tokyo SOS. They were already starting production for this one because they knew that this was going to be a big one and they wanted to make it a big one. They wanted to make it celebratory. Wataru Momura, he'd written a bunch of Godzilla movies at this point. They're just like, just write a movie that has as much Godzilla stuff in as possible in it. And so like from the script stage, it's like, all right, cool. We got the Xiliens. All right, cool. We got 10 million thousand monsters. All right. We got a whole bunch of references. Here's the Gotengo. We got everything, baby. Whatever. And so once
mutant fights.
Right. Exactly.
Sure.
Why not? Why
Random
not?
mutant fights. What the hell?
Sure.
And the
so-
Gotengo.
Exactly. Right. And so like, I think as they're writing the script, they're sort of like, this movie is going to be an all-star action movie is the vibe that we're going for. And that's how the director Ryuhei Kitamura's name came up. So Kitamura, this is one of those few Godzilla films where it's like, if you want to argue auteur theory, like I think there's, Shin Godzilla, there's like -1, and then there's this movie. And I think it fits in with that because this is very much Kitamura's movie. Mm-hmm. He was kind of on their minds because specifically I think of this indie zombie action film he did in 2000 called Versus. And the whole story of that movie was really interesting because it was like, it proved him to be a really interesting and versatile filmmaker because that got turned down by many studios and he's just self-financed it. He like reached out to investors and friends to be like, pay me money for this really cool action movie that I want to make, a zombie action movie. And he made it and he pulled it off in a very like kind of Sam Raimi kind of way. It was like, whoa, this sort of just like scrappy filmmaker made this really incredible movie that like was a hit at the festival circuit, like got a lot of acclaim, a huge cult film. And that immediately starts getting studios interested in actually tapping him for more high profile projects. So he ends up working on like a science fiction movie called Alive. He works on a supernatural action film called Sky High, not that superhero movie American made, but a different one. And I think the same year as this movie, he does the cutscenes for Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. Apparently, he directed the cutscenes for that. Yeah, and he goes on after this film to like do other stuff like the Clive Barker adaptation, The Midnight Meat Train, a live action adaptation of Lupin the Third. So like he continues to have a career, but it's always, I think, within the scope of like often like culty movies or like action horror movies. And I think that sort of action horror angle is why they felt like he would be a good fit for a Godzilla movie. And he was a big fan. So he was just like, yeah, I grew up with Godzilla. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Obviously I'm going to do it. And he says he had a great time making it, is very proud of it. So I think also uniquely, this is not literally, but like kind of a blank check movie for him. I think it really was just like, he had way more time and way more money than like any other filmmaker had ever had on a Godzilla movie up to that point.
Yeah, but they made nothing.
Does not make that money back, unfortunately.
Nada.
Does pretty badly in the box office, actually. But I think that's why this movie is the way that it is, because it really is just like one filmmaker and his vision just unleashed, and like all of his weird idiosyncrasies, and like the reason the monster choices are what they are is just those are the monsters that he liked and wanted to be in the movie. Like it is not that complicated. They were just like, what if there was a filmmaker who made a Godzilla movie and then here's what we get.
Yeah, I mean, I like that these things exist within this now 70-year-long franchise. I've said it before, but like stuff like this kind of has to happen, I think. Otherwise you're going to kill your franchise. Even if everyone hates this, stuff like this has to happen,
Absolutely.
Well, and even though obviously this didn't like pan out in the box office and like it's divisive and everything, I do think that Toho was on the right track. Because like I think also things that what Kitamura has said like since then is like he knew that he was a weird choice to direct this, but everybody was on board and like was kind of like, yeah, just like disrupt the Godzilla franchise, do something different. Like people wanted him to do something different. And even though it doesn't really work out for this one, I do think Toho keeps that in mind, and which is why we get Shin Godzilla and we get -1 later on,
the anime trilogy also kind of fits into that same philosophy.
Yeah, for sure. There's one quote that I found that Kitamura said that I don't really like very much because it's a little bit shady and I don't agree with. But he said that he specifically loved the Godzilla movies from the 70s, but not so much the ones from the 80s and 90s, because the 70s quote, there were always messages and themes that reflected the time and world within which they were made, and they combined this so well with straight out entertainment. I don't really agree with that, because there definitely were themes and messages that reflected the time and the world in the Heisei movies. And also, my guy, you made the movie that had like the least message of any Godzilla movie that's ever been made. So I don't know why you're throwing shade at the Heisei movies right now.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay to say I like those the most because I grew up with them. That's all right too.
Right. Because the upside, I think, to him being such a fan of like 70s era, especially, is like you get all the the weird monster choices you have in this, the movies, monsters that have not shown up in like 30 years or whatever. And he was very adamant about like only using CGI when it was necessary and really embracing old school suitmation. And so there's honestly like, I feel like more suitmation in this movie, despite how wackadoo this movie looks visually, there's probably more suitmation in this movie than there is in most of the other Millennium movies at this point, which is really interesting, you know. Also, the other thing that Kitamura did that really differentiates this movie is like the people that he brought in. For one, I mean, he was just really bringing in people that he had worked with a lot. Like the other screenwriter that rewrites Kitamura's script, Kiriyama, is someone who just worked on Kitamura's other films. Like he'd already worked with him before. It was the same thing with two of the three composers on this. Marino and Yano are both regulars of his work and contributed to the score. But the third person, the third name that's on here that I think is the headlining name is Keith Emerson, who is a British prog rock musician and keyboardist, like a very famous one. And Kitamura was like at one of his concerts and was like, hey, random, do you want to write the score to my Godzilla movie? And Emerson's like, sure, I guess. Which again, lends to this movie feeling unlike any other movie because there's a British prog rock keyboardist writing the majority of the score for it.
Yeah. Yes. Music is not like any other music in this franchise. That is very much for sure. Yeah. What is the name of the supergroup that Keith Emerson was in? I'm already forgetting. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That's like one of the early prog rock supergroups. So like, yeah, like I'm not a prog rock historian, so I don't know a whole lot about British prog rock, but like that's a big name to get for this, but also a weird big name to get for this, you know? And then they throw in like, there's also like the opening credits, which are cool all on their own, but like even they are made by a Hollywood title artist named Kyle Cooper. Like they pulled a title artist from Hollywood just for the opening credits. Yeah, I mean those feel wildly different too. That's every single thing feels so unlike anything I could have predicted, down to the credits. Like it's really wild.
The fact that they had a Gaijin character for such a long portion of the film, and this just tickled me so much that he was an NJPW wrestler for like years.
Oh,
I was so happy because he was in NJPW, AJPW, and one of the spin-offs that one of the guys from NJPW did. And oh my God, just he was doing MMA when no one else wanted to, and he did that all over Japan. And I don't know, man. They grabbed him for this, and it's just hilarious. He's definitely a wrestler doing acting.
That's the thing. These just like weird choices in people, and it's really fascinating because obviously Godzilla movies have a history of doing like U.S. collabs or getting American or British actors in there, and like to varying degrees of success. But this movie does feel the most like we're trying to appeal to the East and West at the same time in a unique way. And I think I would argue more successfully than a lot of other Godzilla movies have done, just because they just find random places to just pull in American influences or Hollywood influences. And being like, one of your actors is just going to be like an American wrestler. Sure. Why not? Or we're just going to have a Sum 41 song and it's going to get like top billing in the opening credits. Like, sure, I guess so.
Can I just say, putting Sum 41 in the opening credits is a mind fuck, because I was like, are they going to kill Sum 41 in this movie? Like, for what reason would they be credited in this movie.
That was a thought I had about Xiliens.
And then by the time it's relevant, I had forgotten already, So like it really, really, really threw me off.
Oh.
Yeah. Every choice in this film is just really fascinating. The one like person that was carried over from previous Godzilla films was the special effects director, Eiichi Asada, because he did the special effects on Tokyo SOS, and he'd had a long history, like his assistant effects director and stuff for many, many years. But even he was sort of like, look, I have more time to do this. And the director was like, go wild and do stuff you've never done before. So like, even he was just sort of like, look, I was encouraged to be weird with the special effects.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though he worked on the previous movie, this looks nothing like what Tokyo SOS looked like effects wise.
No.
Every movie in Millennium, and certainly in Heisei, almost feels sterile in comparison to this hot mess of a film where they were just throwing things at the wall and seeing what was gonna stick. They had a dog, they had monsters that were human sized, they had monsters that were massive, they had holograms and mutants and shady government officials, and it was everything. Oh, and of course it had like the little kid and the grandfather character who were going to, you knew from the moment you saw them that they were going to be integral.
There's so much. The other thing I wanted to say about this that I think is interesting, and in an end of an era kind of way, we haven't talked about them on every single episode just because there's lots of always to talk about. But, Noriyoshi Orai has done the movie posters for Godzilla films, like since the Heisei era up through the Millennium era. And so whenever you see like a beautiful painted Godzilla poster, often with like designs that don't match the movie because they're based on concept art. Like that's Orai's work. This is the last time that he does Godzilla movie posters. He does two of them. He does a early one pre-release and then like a later one. I just sent the images if you want to look at them if you haven't seen them. Yes. I just always think it's interesting to celebrate his work. And for this one, it's so funny because the first one is just a Godzilla, and it's obviously before they finished the design of this one because it looks like the Godzilla from the previous Millennium movies. But it's still a cool poster. But then the other poster that does actually pack everything on it, it's such a wild poster and so indicative of the maximalism of this film,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It is a rough one to zoom in on certain characters for. All the monsters look great.
Monsters are great.
I think he's better. I think he's a better artist of monsters than he is of human faces, but that is fine because he is good at what he's good at for sure. Can I share one self-indulgent personal thing about this movie? This is now going to be 2 for 2 with these finale movies because the Destroya, I talked about how I got to be in the Godzilla hotel and like sleep in the room next to the prop from the Godzilla skull prop from that film. Also, that same year when I was in the Godzilla hotel in 2024 was the 20th anniversary of Godzilla Final Wars. When you go into the lobby of the Hotel Glacier in Shinjuku, they do cycle these out, but they'll have like a different sort of exhibition that's like from different movies, like of life size, suits and things like that. And so Final Wars was the one this time. And so I'm sending you some pictures of that. It was basically a really cool exhibition of all these life size, like I said, like of Godzilla and Monster X fighting amongst like city rubble. And it was a huge exhibition. It was so incredibly cool.
I've
seen that rules.
Pictures from this. I didn't know they were from the Gracery.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I think it's been swapped out now. I think they change it at least once a year.
Oh, if I had that kind of freedom of design, I would too.
It's so cool. Yeah, I just thought that was really cool.
It's beautiful.
Those are a really cool setup. Yeah, well, thank you for letting me be self-indulgent. I don't know that I'll have a personal story for Terror of Mechagodzilla, unfortunately, to make it 3 for 3 for these finale movies. But I don't know. There's still time. I could do something crazy
you got
in the next month.
To find one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta find some way to like meet Mechagodzilla or something. All right. I don't I don't know how to do this. There's so many monsters in this movie.
Well, why don't we start where the film started?
Well, we could start with Godzilla first. and
Yeah,
this Godzilla design.
yeah. Because it was the Gotengo, which you may have also known as an Atragon, depending where you've gotten your weird
Right.
underground drill submarines from.
Doug, what did you think of seeing the Gotengo? Because that's right at the top of the movie. That is the beginning of the movie. The Gotengo just shows the fuck up.
Yeah, not what I was expecting, but I also felt like sort of vindicated because that's the thing I was predicting would come back from that movie. And it, wasn't the first thing to come back from that movie or the thing that comes back the most from that movie, but it did come back. But it was not what I was expecting at all because it feels so specific. I mean, it should have indicated something to me because it feels so specifically Showa. And I was so surprised to see it, but I just was immediately like, well, I guess I have no fucking clue what this is, so let's go. It looks great. The Gotengo looks amazing in this
it really
does.
Movie. I love that it's here. They use it really, really well too. Like they make it like I think sometimes it can be hard to sort of adapt like Showa era stuff without feeling like, oh, you're trying to like change it so much to make it edgy or whatever. This feels like it's a really like respectful adaptation of that design and still feels like really cool, like and throwbacky at the same time. I really like how they use that in this movie. So this Godzilla design, this very slender, very slender Godzilla, I will say.
Yeah.
It's still Tom Kitagawa, the Millennium Godzilla, our usual Millennium Godzilla. He was encouraged to do like a lot more martial arts type things in this suit. And he was very excited to do that because he's like, I've always wanted to, but no director has wanted me to. So he was in for that. But because they needed Godzilla to be like headbutting and kicking and throwing and shit like that, they do make this design specifically to make it more like a fighting game kind of Godzilla that could move. And really, honestly, I think that applies to just the whole design aesthetic for this entire movie, that like if there's a creature that walks on hind legs, it is going to be very slender and have very human proportions.
Normally I would be down on like a much like more slender or like kind of closer to humanish sort of Godzilla, but because the movie is what it is and there's so many other characters that are given sort of the same treatment, and you kind of pick up on that fighting game or action sort of like sensibility. That's not really the thing that I mind about it, but this is not my favorite Godzilla design. There are things I like about it. There's a lot of things I don't like about it. I like its eyes, but I don't know if I love them for Godzilla. Like they're interesting. But I don't know that I would want to see them again. They have a very specific attitude to them that I think works for this movie, but wouldn't for a lot of other ones. I'm not super into like the texture of this suit. It's like a little too fine and a little too like regular. It's a little too like patterny. So I don't know. It's just not super into it. I don't mind it being sort of an updated version of the Millennium kind of more lizardy design, but this isn't.
Sure.
I wouldn't want them to continue going down this road.
Yeah. And I think they even had like tested with the Tokyo SOS suit to see if they could pull anything off with that, but it was just like so clear. Like one of the problems was like the dorsal fins. Like they need the dorsal fins to be like a lot smaller, I think, than they've ever been on Godzilla, so he can just walk more upright and not be weighted down. I think that was a big part of it. It wasn't just slimmer on the body, but literally like lighter. So like lightweight material, like they do less lighting effects with him, so they don't have to hook up as many lighting things to the suit, like stuff like that, It's like they almost kind of scale back on the special effects that they had been doing for the sake of just movement in this movie.
Yeah, makes sense.
It was so much fun to watch them just sort of throw each other around like wrestlers because they've all done time with a ring. They've all been to one of the dojos at one point or another. So, yeah.
I was looking at some other things about it. Like, I do agree with you, Doug, to like the eyes are an odd thing where like they're cool monster eyes, but I do like it made me realize that I like a Godzilla that feels more expressive. Even on the suits that like their eyes literally can't move, when they're big, they just immediately feel more expressive. And just like having these guys be so tiny and always angry and removing the whites of the eyes too, like it, he feels like less, even though this is a very anthropomorphized Godzilla because he's literally just a wrestler man, like he also feels less like human at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the reason I don't mind it for this Godzilla design and this Godzilla story, like I think it sort of fits. It reminds me of a specific kind of like anime eye treatment. If you've watched My Hero Academia, which is like a more recent one that does this, All Might sometimes has his eyes completely blacked out and they're extremely sharp. And that's what these Godzilla eyes look like a lot of the time, where you can't actually see the eyes in there. You just see the shape of the inset. And I think for a Godzilla that's kind of just like pissed and raging, like it kind of, and doesn't really get a lot of characterization, like it kind of works.
True.
He's just in his sclera contact era. That's all.
There you go.
Sclera era. That's what he's doing. It's fine. It was the mid 2000s. You can't drag people for what they did.
Well, they
in
couldn't
the 80s or the 2000s. Like there's the entire 90s. Everyone is super, super guilty of everything they've ever done. But like the 1980s and the 2000s, unless you're Reagan, pretty much.
Oh God.
Well, and they drew the line at putting, sleek Y2K sunglasses on Godzilla, so they had to just turn his eyes into them,
The only thing I want to say about this Godzilla, before we move on from him, is like, this is a little, like it's a little detail, but I think it's really important. Like, I do think that Godzilla suits often, they're just inevitably going to have a hard time with like head stuff because their head isn't always where Godzilla's head is. And so turning Godzilla's neck because of the weight and stuff in it, like that's always hard. So like a lot of times Godzilla just doesn't, he'll have to turn his whole body, kind of like a lot of the Batman movie suits were, right? This suit, part of the slenderization of it was like Kitagawa wore like a skull cap kind of helmet that was attached to the head to basically help his own neck movements translate to Godzilla's.
Because
so, like,
it had this thick ass neck. Like this was slim boy. Thick neck. Like, ooh.
Because it's literally his whole ass head is just in the neck.
He had a thumb. He had a thumb head. Just went straight from shoulders like a thumb.
Yeah.
No neck involved.
I really commend them for like just being really practical and pragmatic about how they're designing these, like for this. Like if this has to be a movie about monsters fighting and very choreographed fighting, more choreographed and dynamic than any other fights have ever been, then like you do kind of have to sacrifice like some design aesthetic things just for practicality. And I admire that they like recognize that and went for it. And I don't think that any monster feels like they don't fit in this movie because they apply that to everyone and everything ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want Godzilla to look the same in every movie, especially if it's not a continuation. So like get weird, Try it out, see what happens.
Okay. There's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of monsters. More to say about some than others, I'm sure. And obviously some are more important to the story than others, but I just want to know, even if they're weird pulls that are not as important, what are the ones that you all are most excited to see in this movie?
Manda! Oh my God, it's Manda. It's the same way I feel with every film that I see a Manda or like almost Manda, because in King of the Monsters, there's an almost Manda. So it's just really cool for me to see them take my super obscure favorite and keep killing him, but that's okay. Yay, keeps coming through. And Anguirus was wonderful.
Yes, very thrilled to see Anguirus. Very thrilled Anguirus gets a lot to do. Very thrilled
oh my God, yeah.
to see this sort of like evolved Anguirus who has attacks and, you know, has a little bit of speed and a little bit of edge to him. My dog is growing up.
Yeah.
And defending himself. Not successfully against Godzilla, but trying.
Yeah, but he survives. He doesn't get fucking murdered.
Right. I was wondering about that because with so many monsters in this and with some of them having like pretty specific histories, like Anguirus throughout the Showa run sort of goes from being first opponent to like BFF with Godzilla. So it's like, are they gonna have Godzilla fucking kill Anguirus? Because that would be crazy. And so I'm glad that didn't happen, and that Anguirus got to do a whole bunch of action shit before that didn't happen. Like, it wasn't just discarded because stuff didn't happen to him, you know?
Yeah, he did his like spinny like video game turn into a spiky ball and roll into things move, which is really cool to see. He and Rodan and King Caesar, I think, are the ones, right, that all survive, and they're all like
the 3-on-1 battle.
The ones who are like allies in the Showa era, which I just think is kind of clever that's the sort of cool like synergy they have with that. I also wanted to add about Manda, who I love the design of in this movie. I think she just like looks sick as hell. Like he looks so cool.
Yeah, Manda looks awesome.
They created a 6-meter long prop for it that also looks sick as hell. I think if this prop still exists, and if anyone knows where it is, they need to send it to Lauren like immediately. That needs to be yours. I think you deserve that.
I was going to say, where is the prop?
I would refinance the house. Like, you won't understand. If I had a chance to own that prop, with or without the Gotengo, I would.
It's so cool looking. It's just such a cool,
beautiful. The models for this were beautiful. You could tell at the time, like the times when they did use CGI, you could tell just immediately. It was like, oh yeah. It was not great, but oh man, it's such a fun. Yeah. I keep just sort of wanting to get into it. It's like, oh god, there's peripheral.
I was happy to see Abira, and I was shocked at how much time Abira got in this movie.
Yes.
And it's also interesting, Abira is like not one of the ones that was particularly redesigned, like kind of just looks the same, which was interesting.
It's just like a right. Like, how much could you really do with them?
What are you talking? Honest? You could do so much with that.
Okay, sorry.
I thought Rodan looked super cool. I
like the Rodan design.
This Rodan design is very awesome. I thought the King Caesar design was there.
It's King Caesar. It's gonna look silly because the stuff it's based on looks a little silly.
Kitagawa said King Caesar is like his favorite. Like that movie that he's in, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, was like his favorite, and King Caesar is like his baby. Like that's his boy. So
nice.
You know, that's also why, like, you know, he appeared in one movie like 30 something years ago and then shows up again in this one. So
well, I assume Ghidorah is also a favorite because Ghidorah's here after never reappearing.
Yeah, I think that's the case with Ghidorah. I do think they did want Ghidorah to be in more of the movie, but his scene got cut. Like, I think they were asked to cut that scene, or Tomiyama rejected the scene that he wrote for it, which is why he just randomly shows up in the movie. So like he still compensates for it by having him in here and then having some end credit stuff. But he was supposed to be in more of it. It wasn't meant to be like a shade on him or anything.
Sure. I thought it was cool to have Kamanga and Kamakuris in there, but I was hoping to see like any Heisei original monsters because there are so few of them.
I know.
You're right, exactly. And so like my first thought was like, okay, well, if they're doing a bunch of monsters, Biolante's probably not showing up at the beginning. So I was like, fine, you know, with that. But then when they did Kumonga and Kamakuris as like the bug ones, and then Batra and Megaguirus just don't show. I guess Megaguirus is Millennium, but like as the other bugs don't show up, I was like, oh, we could have like done a couple other era bugs.
Yeah. I do think it's just he just didn't. He likes Showa movies and he doesn't really like any other ones, and I think that's really what it amounts to. Honestly, is why
this dude seems like he would love Biolante. Biolante is a freak and slimy and weird.
But wouldn't it be amazing to have seen Biolante in Paris, like instead of Kamakuris, just to have part of the growth cycle be around the Eiffel Tower, the way that part of Mothra's growth cycle in the first Mothra film was against the Tokyo Tower. I think that would have been a really cool like callback, that because we did get Mothra in this film and it was fantastic.
We do.
And weird.
Yeah.
But fantastic.
And she looks great. She looks great.
It's the same Mothra from Tokyo SOS. They just imported the same prop over for it.
Nice.
But it's a good design. I like the design.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sending you pictures. I just am very impressed with the size and detail of the props that they have for like Kamakuras. And then like if you see all the suits alongside the props, like that Kumanga prop, it's huge. It's really so big. Like that's like person size. Like that's incredible.
Yeah. I was really happy that they had physical models and props for them. Because something that you can't put a person in would be one of the easier things to at least justify if you're already using some CGI, to be like, well, for things that we can't put a person in, we'll do CGI. And for things that we can, we'll put a person in them. So I'm glad that they didn't really do that.
Yeah, I want to name off a few of the suit actors that worked here, because there's a handful of them. Obviously, there's a lot of the same suit actors playing multiple roles. Rodan and Minya, who we'll have to talk about, both of those were worn by Naoko Kamiyo, who is a Super Sentai suit actress, like a veteran of Super Sentai. She's been a bunch of Pink Rangers, from like Mega Ranger through Goseiger. That means that she's the second woman ever to play Kaiju in the Godzilla series through Suit
Wild. 50 years.
Yeah.
And the other lady's actually pretty famous just for being cute in the suit.
Can't remember what her last name is. It's Rie. I forget the last name. But
yeah, it was Baragon. Rie Ota.
Yes, Rie Ota. Yes, Rie Ota and Naoko Kamiyo are the two ladies in Godzilla movie monster suits. Motokuni Nakagawa was one of the suit actors who plays King Caesar and also plays Monster X and is half of the Kaiser Ghidorah. And he was Kiryu in Tokyo SOS. So
gotcha.
Kazuhiro Yoshida is Gigan and Hedorah. Not really much known about him. And then I think Toshihiro Ogura is another suit actor that's done a lot of Sentai and Kamen Rider. So it's a lot of people that have not been in Godzilla films before, interestingly. People who had been working in television, but doing a lot of action toku and TV, which kind of makes sense because they're playing like Kamen Riders and Rangers and like jumping around and stuff like that, which is more what you need for this movie than your typical monster actor, which I just think is interesting.
Makes sense. There's like there's still plenty of monsters, but there's like two things I definitely want to talk about. And some of it makes more sense to talk about when we're doing the story, but
Sure.
We have to talk about 98 Godzilla being here. And I don't know, Derek, if you want to talk about that now. Is there a why? Like, what do we know?
All it really
what
is.
What don't I know?
Yeah, no. It's honestly like more what you would expect it to be. It was just like they found out that they were allowed to do it. I think like, they were figuring they might have a Gorosaurus and something in this, but then they were like, oh wait, shit. Like,
yeah, they had to buy it. I mean, they had to pay some cash to have it, and like no one else can use it now and that kind of thing. I mean, it was a process. But yes, it's theirs, and they used it for 2 scenes, and one where he looked amazing, and one where he got sorry, I keep forgetting.
Kind of a gender fluid icon.
They used he pronouns that entire movie, so they can be whatever they want.
Yeah, but like those are pronouns that humans are assigning.
Right. That's true, and pretty terrible people in that movie too. So
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's like you get 2 good scenes. It's like they were quite nice.
So, first of all, I'm wearing my Zilla shirt right now.
Nice.
Good job.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks sick.
Yeah, I got it from a.
I love that pop art. It looks so cute.
I got it from a vendor at Kaiju Brooklyn.
I almost put on my shirt from that exact same vendor today. I wish I had.
Yeah. Yes, the CGI, they just scanned the Trendmasters Godzilla toy for this. This is just the toy, made the CGI of it. I've gotten conflicting things. I think that, like, I've read some places that it was intended that if they could, they would have done a full East versus West battle, an actual fight between the two of them. It would have been cool. It would have been like, our Japan Godzilla, the American Godzilla, they'll fight, Japan Godzilla will win. And just obviously, naturally, like time and money constraints.
Sure.
So they're like, well, if we're not really going to be able to make this Godzilla look good and we're not going to be able to do a cool fight, then maybe we'll just make it a joke then. And so the joke is that Godzilla goes up against Japan's Godzilla for 2 seconds, immediately gets his ass kicked and dies. And it's like, yeah, that Godzilla sucks, right? And that's just the joke of it.
Yeah. It was an interesting moment because, well, one, I think it's worth noting that this is a totally CGI monster, and that was, I'm assuming, on purpose, because that's yeah. But it was an interesting moment because when I saw that, honestly, more than the surprise of the American Godzilla showing up, it was another Godzilla showing up. And so with so many monsters appearing and then another Godzilla showing up, for a brief moment I was like, is this going to turn into like a Godzilla's versus monsters movie? So there was a brief moment where I was like, that might be what I'm in for. And I would have been pretty excited about it. I don't know how they would have justified it, but they don't have to. Well,
they could have. I mean, that would have justified bringing in like Space Godzilla or something if they wanted to do that, you know?
Yeah.
I think that this, I think, is where it becomes like official, like Toho canon that Zilla is like a distinct creature from Godzilla.
Sure.
And so he starts showing up in more stuff, and he's in comics and stuff since then as Zilla, just a separate creature.
Well, and when no other Godzilla shows up in this movie, then it makes the only way you can interpret it is that Zilla is just another monster or foe or creature in the universe distinct from Godzilla. It makes sense.
And that's the canon interpretation.
Right.
Yes.
It's interesting. It's interesting because like I was talking about this with Russ when I was on Kaiju Comic Cast recently, because like we were talking about one of the comics that Zilla like shows up in, and like it's so odd in this, even in this movie that is cuckoo bananas. Like this movie is wild. Even still, the scene sticks out to me in a way because it is such a strangely like metatextual scene that is very much like winking at the audience in such an odd way that like takes me out of the movie in a way, even though this is already a movie that's ridiculous. Nothing should take me out of it. But even still, I'm watching is just sort of like, this is only here because people don't like that one movie. It's just sort of, I don't know. I don't hate it. I think it's very funny. I think it's just sort of, it's just weird.
You know what it is for me? It's the fact that during that fight, they're playing a Canadian pop punk band for the American monster fight in Sydney, Australia. I was like, how did this become the combination of things? Like, Sum 41 isn't American.
But a lot of Americans listen to them, and not a lot of people, and a lot of people just associate them with America. You know what I mean?
It's still funny, and like Sydney's obviously not America.
Well,
not that any of the things were like associated with where they've been before, but it's just a funny combination of things, you know?
It is odd that he's not just literally in New York City.
Especially because they have New York. Like, New York is in this movie.
Like that had to be a conscious choice to not put him there, but I just don't know why that was the choice that was made. But
I don't know.
Go off,
So
I
funny.
guess. Yeah, I think Kitamura wanted at least one like major scene to be in Sydney because he liked Sydney. Like they did shoot part of this movie in Sydney, so like they were literally there.
That's
you
cool.
know, so I think that was part of it. But I think also he had previously shot scenes in Sydney, like earlier in life, like that he had a lot of fond memories, he said, of working in Sydney. So I think it was important to him to like go back to Sydney and do a scene set in Sydney. So I guess it just happened to end up being this one.
There's so much in this movie, it could genuinely be a coincidence that those three places have any relation and are involved in this scene.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
The actual design. Here's a question. What is this in the world where this is just a monster and not Godzilla? What is it officially called? Does it have like an
Zilla?
Oh, it's officially called Zilla, like in the way that Anguirus is called.
Yeah, because it's descended from a Godzillasaurus. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's part. Okay, got it.
Anything from that line, I figure, is a Zilla of something.
Here's what happens when like the French people set off nuclear tests that create their own Godzilla. It's a Zilla.
Of course.
So.
Oh my God, it's French. That makes so much sense.
Again, this also could have been set in Paris. That would have been funny. But
the other monster thing that I want to touch on here, because it's design stuff, but it does overlap, I think, to some extent with story stuff. I love so much that Gigan and Ghidorah or Monster X, it has a bunch of names, I think, in this movie. I love that they are so distinctly designed kind of together and separately from everything else. Like, they are the most sort of like edgy Y2K sci-fi fantasy monster shit ever, and I love it. You know what I mean?
Specifically
Gigan, but like
they
that
just
first
threw everything on him and was like, okay,
yeah, which
let's
is
see it work.
Perfect, because that monster is ridiculous. It's just like knives on
so
knives.
crazy.
You know?
It's the hands, really, that the double chainsaw arms. It's just.
But I love that,
dude. So sick. Like they installed motors into that suit too, so that can be like actually moving chainsaws. It's so good. I mean, not actually moving chainsaws. You know what I mean?
They look like moving chainsaws that are in fact moving.
Yeah.
They're not real chainsaws. No, I like it's again, it's like he's like kind of like sleek cunty guy again, like the way his body proportions are, but like it kind of like it works for this movie.
I think so.
I don't know. It's just sort of
I think
weird.
It works perfectly, because if you think about it, like humanity's monsters are the monsters that we're familiar with that kind of look like updated versions of their monsters, right?
Yeah.
The villain monsters that belong to the weird knockoff Matrix people are the ones that look like weird, edgy sci-fi creatures that are just sort of like weird industrial kind of freaks, you know? Like, I love it. Yeah. That first Ghidorah form is also just like kind of a guy standing on two legs, which I don't know people's feelings on it, but I was like, by the time I see it, I'm like, this makes so much sense to me, especially after I've seen these two forms of Gigan and I've had these weird sort of knockoff Matrix villains sort of, you know, doing all their weird aesthetic things. Like, I just love that. And I would love, I guess there aren't that many other monsters that are kind of explicitly the villains to do this with, but I'm glad that these two are the ones that are both here, and they both get this weird edgy treatment.
Yeah. Well, like the Monster X form is interesting because it's like it feels a lot more like an Ultraman villain or like a late Sentai villain. It doesn't feel like a Godzilla monster, but in a way that I think is maybe intentional because it's meant to, I think, hide who he actually is, and again fits the design aesthetic of this movie where creatures just kind of have human bodies most of the time.
Well, and can I say, because of what this movie is, because of all the shit that you see to that point, and because Gigan is so distinctly designed differently from all the other monsters, when Monster X, that first form, shows up, and I was like, oh, this is their Ghidorah for this movie, I just kind of was like, I get it. And I think it's rad that they took a swing like this, because it does fit the aesthetic of the villains. It is still treated with the same sort of like gravity as a Ghidorah. And we've seen, I mean, at this point we wouldn't have, but we've seen other like big swings with Ghidorah. So I was primed for some sort of weird big swing. And I would have been like fine with it being like that is the form, and it just is like this powerful shit that Godzilla can't figure out. I love where it goes, don't get me wrong. I'd be so sad to have seen where it goes and then it be taken away from me. But I was very here for that weird Monster X form of Ghidorah.
He's a bones monster, and we love like Bones Godzilla. We get to have a fucking evil bones monster, Bones Ghidorah. I love it.
Yeah, and it's weird sort of like half faces on either side of its face.
So creepy.
That then
it's like genuinely creepy.
Literally practically inflate, or did they just do a really good job making it look like it inflated? Because that was a cool effect.
It probably is something practical that they did, because they tried to do as much practical as they could with it. I'm not positive about that particular.
It's something they could do. So if they could do it and they wanted to be practical, they could have pulled it off. Can I say, I am extremely, I didn't know this. I'd never considered this. It had never been presented to me. I'd never seen it, heard about it. This was not on my radar. I am extremely pro quadrupedal Ghidorah. Extremely.
Oh, really? I love that.
I love it. Okay. I think it looks so good. I think it looks so cool. It's so weird, and it's so like wrong, but it's like so imposing, and it's like, oh, I can't like knock you over because you are way more stable and grounded than you were before. I think it looks sick. So I don't know how people feel about it, but I thought it looked awesome.
I know I think that I literally just maybe 2 days ago saw people talking about how much they hated Ghidorah that had any more than 2 legs. Like,
no,
Yeah.
that's
This
really
looks
funny,
awesome.
actually.
It freaks me out a little bit. It makes
That's
me
what I
think,
love about
it's
it.
not really Ghidorah. It's like Gigantamax Ghidorah.
But okay, you just said the coolest combination of words ever, though. But like the thing that I think is impressive about the way that they did this is I think it looks really cool from the side where you can see all 4 legs. But if you're looking at it from the front, it still has the same shape as Ghidorah. Like from the front, it is still the same shape you are used to. So it's only when you kind of get a full look at it that you're like, oh, something's off. Something's weird and wrong about this. Something is like mutated about this Ghidorah. So
you could almost like not really notice the 4 legs until you're like really like if you're not really paying.
And I think that was part of the experience. Honestly, was sort of like, does this thing have 4 legs? You know, so I think it's cool. I'll fly the quadrupedal Ghidorah flag all day.
What's funny is like I think that was totally incidental. It was just because they wanted it to be big, and if it was going to be big, it needed to have 2 people in it. So it's almost like, you know, the horse costume with 2 different people. Therefore, they needed 4 legs.
Great.
Like I think again, they're so practical with the way that they're making the monster suits in this. So like we don't get that. We never get that in Godzilla. No. Like I think the only other times that we have ever had like monsters that had 2 people inside, not counting like, you know, puppets that are operated, but like the only time we've ever had 2 people in a costume were not in Godzilla movies. They were the Megalodon in Rodan, and they were like the Mothra larva in the original Mothra movie. Other than that, it's always been 1 person, 1 suit. So it's kind of like a weird barrier breaking that they're doing for this Godzilla movie.
It's weird. It's wrong. It's not correct. It's like bizarre, mutant, mythological. Like, tell me this shit doesn't look sick. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's so bizarre. It's sort of like, you mentioned Gigantamax. It's sort of like when they took the legendaries from Diamond and Pearl and were like, oh, they're centaurs now. And I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And then the more I looked at them, I was like, you make me uncomfortable in a compelling way. Like, I think this Ghidorah makes me uncomfortable in a compelling way.
That is fair and valid, honestly.
So funny.
Especially since if you want to put it in the Pokemon world, or in Pokemon terms, they gave him 2 more legs as he evolved.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That are those massive front tree trunks just made out of all the legs they took from the further evolutions of like every starter ever, or what?
I don't know. It does kind of make it feel a little bit more like this weird thing that's like absorbed, you know, other creatures to become this thing.
And there is a cutesiness to it.
This can prance.
I agree with you.
Ghidorah can't usually prance.
About the cutesy, but there's definitely a cutesiness to it that that I don't think we see again until King of the Monsters, and only in Kevin.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that he's like kind of veiny, and like being veiny in his necks makes it also kind of phallic in an uncomfortable way.
I didn't notice that until still images. Like,
it looks like painful and bulging in some of the same ways that Shin Godzilla's skin looks.
Ooh.
Only the difference is that this is painted gold. So
what you're saying is,
it looks sort of like shredded and burned. Certainly burned. Yeah.
So what you're saying is, as much as I don't want Ghidorah 4-0, if it were quadrupedal, I'd be here for it.
And looked like a bunch of dicks. If it was quadrupedal and looked like
just 3 massive phalluses coming out here. One of them extremely stupid.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh, speaking of dicks, literally, actually, for a second, one thing I want to bring up
has a dick
with Ghidorah.
Oh,
because we've had this conversation before of like the interesting gender thing, where like, you know, Ghidorah's a smog monster; it doesn't actually have a gender, but in materials, they've referred to the Showa era Ghidorah as a female because the Final Wars one is a male, and part of that came from when they were redesigning this Ghidorah, they were like, oh, in the Showa era, like that Ghidorah's eyes, like, you know, the genitalia of look of Ghidorah's eyes, you know, they look like fucking like vaginas, right?
Yes.
And so they were like, all right, we're going to put like a sort of phallic element on this Ghidorah, which is why you get that weird little tube that he has sticking out on the front.
What that is.
Yeah. So they were like, that signifies that it's a dude. Look, I don't know why, like, Ghidorah just makes people start thinking weird shit, I guess. So they were just, you know, getting really into you know.
It wasn't on screen long enough for me to notice that, but I
me neither.
I respect the freakishness because, you know, Ghidorah deserves it.
Anyway, yeah, I like this Ghidorah a lot. Kaiser Ghidorah is the official name of this
it even
particular
cool.
version.
Because
of
the
Ghidorah.
boys are Kaiser dudes
Ugh.
or whatever. So their ultimate form, like demigods. You can do anything with the world and you're gonna save it. It's like,
Ew.
I don't see him doing every. He can power a ship if he really believes in himself. Faith, trust, and fucking pixie dust, and maybe he can power a ship. That's not demigod. I'm sorry. Everybody's like, oh, he's gonna awaken. It's gonna be this big deal. Y'all.
Yeah.
The bad guy, the commander, he's supposed to be one too? Where? I don't see it.
Let's talk about all that stuff. I know we technically have like one more like little monster, but we'll include him when we're talking about some character stuff. We've got a lot of characters, but obviously this is not a particularly character heavy film in terms of characterization. There's just a lot of people who do things. So I think story elements and people can all be kind of wrapped up together with this one. So like, we've got the Xiliens are back. So we have a handful of people that are Xiliens. We have, you know, mutants, and we have some regular people that work with the mutants. And then we have sort of old returning people. So we kind of have some sort of sectioned off kind of groups. I guess, I mean, you made a face when I said Xiliens, Doug. So I guess we could start there.
I thought they were going to come back so much sooner than this. And then I just was like, I should stop predicting that any alien people come back because they never come back. And then lo and behold, here they are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had no idea.
I like that they, you know, go full on like sunglasses and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
It was so cool. It was so bad.
Yeah. It's just, what if the Xiliens with the same sunglasses also dressed like they were in the Matrix? And that's what you get.
Yeah.
And followed like Goth Matrix David Bowie as well.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Kazuki Kitamura plays the controller, you know, our main villain. And honestly, like, this truly is an all-star cast. Like, he is one of these actors who's been in a ton of stuff. If you've seen Kill Bill, you've seen him in that. If you've seen any like live action anime adaptation in the last like 10 to 15 years, he's probably had a role in it. He previously worked with Kitamura in Sky High, I think. So, and that's going to be the case for most of these actors, that they're people who have done a lot of stuff that are, being deployed in this movie.
That makes a lot of sense for two reasons. One, in general, like your 50th anniversary something is going to draw people in who might otherwise have said no. But on top of that, with so many of these being like returning actors, that's the thing that we see with Sentai that does not exist with Power Rangers, is that those actors will continue to come back, you know, as long as they kind of can and have a decent relationship, just because it's been part of their career and part of their sort of journey. And I'm assuming they're also probably treated better than American Power Rangers actors are, but I could see that sort of carrying into this as well, right? So like being a huge anniversary, being you know, people who've been in this space for a long time, it makes sense to me. 50 is a big number.
Everybody's waiting for us to talk about it. So I know he's not the main character, but we have to. You had no idea that there would be a man named Captain Douglas Gordon, played by a American professional wrestler and mixed martial artist in this film, right, Doug?
I didn't, and I didn't catch that his name is Doug.
Mm-hmm. And last name is Gordon, like Godzilla. They're connected.
Oh, sure. I had no idea this character was here. I didn't grow up with wrestling or MMA or any sort of professional or sport fighting. I had no idea who this guy was, and so I only know him now as this character and who he is in real life.
Well,
so
right, currently, he does co-host Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity podcast, where he talks to crypto bros and how great it was to meet their president, Donald Trump, who's saving the country. So sorry if I ruined him for anyone. I do think he's unfortunately very, very hot in this movie, in my opinion.
He is like an Uber bear in this film. Very much
they've got
so.
the chest hair. These are all sweaty. He's in the tank top and the coat, like, and carrying the sword. Like, he's hot as hell in it. But, maybe just don't look up his current opinions right now. But he didn't seem to have those opinions at this time. This was right in the height of his, career. And he had just become popular by being one of the most popular people in the, New Japan Pro Wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Like what you were talking about earlier, Lawrence. So he was it makes sense that he ends up in this because he is known in Japan, but also an American figure. So if they're looking to sort of have some crossover between Hollywood and Japan, he's the perfect person to include in something like this.
Well, I think what's interesting to me is that isn't this like his first acting gig, or is it just his first movie gig?
It was the first, yes.
So
it was his first acting gig.
I get everything you're saying, but it's also, I don't know, is it obvious like that this is the guy you're going to find?
But wrestlers get cast in
That's
stuff all
true,
the time.
and it is performance
extremely
for sure.
popular.
Okay,
he had 2 title shots. He was the top gaijin for years. But what I'm going to say, and I'm going to quote this, it's a tweet from Big Damo, and it's, "Some wrestlers are just fucking stupid. I don't know what to tell you." I'm not kidding.
Well,
that's the entire tweet. Some wrestlers are just fucking stupid. I don't know what to tell you.
Sure.
And I have found that has explained so much of what we have found out about people in the last 4 years.
Oh yeah. I don't know if I ever said his name. His name is Don Frye. I think we've just called him like Captain Gordon the entire time.
Yes, his name is Don Frye, and he's been in other
Frye.
stuff that you would recognize him from now. But this was his first round, and he had some real lines in this one.
Oh boy.
Oh God. What was
all
it?
in English too. I think that is an interesting thing about this movie.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
He only ever speaks in English. Even when everyone else in the room is speaking Japanese, he'll say his lines in English and like it's fine. Which is also an interesting choice, I think, for this.
He had already, you said he had titles, right? So he already had been wrestling in Japan at this point.
Yeah, and before that, and during that as well, he was doing UFC in Japan.
Okay. So he
was doing MMA.
I'm guessing he could have spoken Japanese, and Jay asked him not to, probably, right?
I'm certain. Yeah. I'm certain he was able to speak it at that point.
They probably just thought it would be cooler for him to say these, like, because he doesn't talk a lot. Like, everything he says is a one-liner. You know what I mean? Like, everything he says is a one-liner.
And every other, and most of the other white actors that we see in Godzilla films don't speak Japanese. They speak English and are dubbed over in Japanese.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what happened with this in the Japanese version. But we always get the Don Frye edition. He does have a voice actor. I'm not sure where, but he does have a voice actor.
Yeah. Tesho Genda is the voice actor for him. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where that is, or like what like particular dub or something for it. But some versions, I guess you can watch it. Does.
But yeah, he was Optimus Prime in the Japanese dub of the Transformers film.
Oh, interesting.
Very cool. Very cool.
So
just a fun fact, they were considering, when they were like originally sort of plotting this out, when they were wanting to have, a Hollywood actor in this, they were thinking of casting Jean Reno from the 98 Godzilla film.
I don't know what happened, but it didn't end up happening.
Yeah.
And I think that was a bad choice. I think it would have been fantastic.
That would have been so fucking funny.
Cool. It's so funny because when we watched the 98 movie, we talked about how that guy deserves to be in another Godzilla movie that's like a better movie. And what's funny is that this could have been the one, which I would have loved him in here. I would not oppose to it at all. But
maybe he was just
I
like,
still
no,
would
no, no,
probably-
no. I can't do 2 Godzilla movies in a row that are just cheap.
Well, it's funny because I would have loved him in here, and I still would have been like, this guy deserves a 3rd Godzilla movie that's actually good.
Yeah. It's not like this is the serious Godzilla movie to be putting him in. Yeah.
It's funny though. I mean, I'm interested to know like how much his character would have been different, because so much of what Gordon seems to be feels like, again, I don't know Don Frye from anything, but it seems like this is a natural performance for him. So I'm guessing a lot of this character is informed by him specifically.
Yeah, I mean, they were just sort of like, just be like cool and hot, I guess. Like that's really what they're asking him to do, you know. I've read, this is some grain of salt stuff. I don't know if this is like 100% true, but there's places that have said that they were also trying to offer it to Christopher Lambert, who was in Highlander and Mortal Kombat, and also Sonny Chiba, who's like another famous.
Now
like,
I'd heard
martial
about
artist
Sonny
actor.
Chiba, yeah.
Yeah. So like, but both of those, different sort of energies, but also make sense, and probably would have leaned more on like sword fighting martial arts stuff than Don Frye, who's more just like meant to be kind of imposing,
Well, it's, oh my God, Christopher Lambert, that's so perfect. Not that I would have necessarily preferred him here, but like it is
that would have been
perfect.
interesting,
He had just done that awful Beowulf movie from 1999 that's like a weird science fantasy like take on Beowulf. Like,
I haven't seen that, but that sounds
bad.
kind of awesome. Okay.
I mean, it is very much what it is. You know what I mean? Also, there
is
are
it
no
better
like,
or worse than is it better or worse than the Zemeckis movie though?
I'm of the opinion that like no Beowulf movie is ever gonna be good, and we should stop trying. So I think they're all bad.
All right.
I would say it's probably more your vibe, in that I'm assuming the Zemeckis one is very much not your vibe.
No, I'm not a fan of that movie. There's weirdly a lot of naked men in that movie, and even that wasn't enough to really win me over.
Well, they made Ray Winstone naked, but bare death.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's an interesting element of this film for sure. Very well known. It's fun that he has a mustache and he's very sweaty often. Wish he wasn't a Trumper in real life, but
Calls everybody sweetheart. Like literally, this is the kind of character that they really don't write very often now, which is just kind of a shitty guy.
Yeah.
But you just sort of accept it and keep moving. It's sort of it's the Always Sunny phenomenon, in my opinion. It's like, these are horrible. This is, I mean, we need him around and he's really good at this, but
real excited to hit a lady. I will say
real
that.
Excited.
Given the opportunity.
It's like, you would
a little weirdly excited.
Would you hit a lady? Thump.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just karate chop to the neck. I was so impressed.
Yeah. Just
you would sound like potatoes.
Wild character.
Listen, kid, there's 2 things you don't know about the Earth. One is me. The other is Godzilla.
Oh, I was screaming.
Oh my God.
That's got to be his longest line, right?
Probably so. The fact that Godzilla is listed second after him. It's like, I'm the main one you're worried about, but if not me, then Godzilla.
I like, please pay attention to me and my mustache. I am the main.
This is, I mean, that makes so much sense. If this were like an anime character, he would try to fight Godzilla with a sword by himself. Like that's 100% who this guy is.
I mean, this movie does have people kill Ebra with guns. So like, you know what? It could have happened. Yep. It could have happened. I guess speaking of like those mutants, yeah,
the mutants concept was so weird, and it continued on as like this mitochondria weirdness, and they have to they're where this is from. The aliens are where this is from, and yet they still have to consume this M stuff. It was just it was unnecessary. It was so unnecessary, guys. I swear.
What's interesting to me, and this is again where I feel like it's like, I think you're just trying to like deliberately swerve away from the Heisei era, because Heisei had psychics all over the place, was like riddled with like psychics. And so I think you could very easily just be like, these are people with psychic powers.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have done all the same thing. They could have still been physical and matrixy and just explained it as like they're using psychic telekinesis or whatever to lift themselves up. So the fact that they specifically avoid touching that and make it like, you have the M-class gene derived from Gigan being on Earth 5 million years ago, ? And I guess Saul's cum was everywhere and that made people infected with his genes. I don't fucking know. Whatever. I know that it's an excuse to let people, to explain why people are fighting like at superhuman levels. Mm-hmm. I think it feels like too much, like a hat on a hat for this movie. And then the fact that then the main character, Ozaki, ends up also being like Neo from the Matrix and being like the special too, which then it's like, okay, so not only are there mutants where they're people who are like, have alien DNA or whatever that gives them superpowers, there's also like super mutants.
Yeah, they're
like,
Kaiser mutants, yeah.
1 in a million.
One in a million. Where there are just 2 in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, it's just weirdly unnecessary. Like, I don't even mind copying the Neo stuff and making one of your characters who, you know, maybe, like, I don't mind the arc of like, oh no, the guy who was like trying to be part of this anti-kaiju squad isn't very good at it and then discovers he's actually the best at everything because of some weird, like, special like relation to the aliens he has. But like adding in literally everything else they throw into with this, and also it's not like it's really an underdog story. He's kind of good at everything the entire time from the beginning. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird. There's not an arc, and like it's just random shit that happens and a lot of lore that does not matter.
He's good at everything, but they present early on that his weakness could be that he cares too much. And so then him being the one presented with allegedly godlike power, I think is the most arc you're going to get for a character in this movie. Yeah. So you know,
I get it in concept. It's just like there's a lot going on here. So like, and I don't have any issues with the many fight sequences that are happening. I think that is the thing a lot of people complain about, is that they're sort of like, you're taking away, you know, attention from the kaiju to show a lot of human fights. I think the human action is good. It's just the extra need to explain why they're good at fighting. When I'm like, I'm watching an action movie, they're always going to be better at fighting than they would in real life because it's an action movie. Like, why do we need this to be explained?
Because then we wouldn't
be like, and everybody works for super government.
Super government. I like the mutants because it justifies having that weird sequence of them explaining mutants where they just cycle the same like 5 seconds of them doing like, you know, martial arts moves and then one person like doing a split.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The actor who plays Ozaki, Masahiro Matsuoka, had actually been in he was primarily a musician actually for this. He had been in a pop rock band called Tokyo as a drummer since the early 90s and continued to be in that band until literally last year. The band just dissolved in 2025. He'd also acted as well, but like he stayed in that band for a very, very long time, continued to do it while he was acting. And he's the Japanese dub voice for Hercules in Disney's Hercules.
Yo! That rules.
Yeah. You know, I mean, he's fun.
I like him.
Yeah, he's Neo. He's just Neo from the Matrix.
These characters don't have to, like, these actors they don't have to perform all that big. Like, these characters are like pretty one thing, and this guy does his one thing. He's honestly one of the characters that does kind of more than one thing, and that like he has a choice to make. But still, it's just like he just needs to be there and do his action and look cool and make faces.
I love their mutant outfits that look like they're
straight out of anime. They look like Guyver suits.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
They
Yeah,
look like Guyver
no,
suits.
that makes sense.
And I think that was the
sense.
point, because that was really, really popular. That particular kind of character design. Like, it kind of looks like the Gantz suits. It kind of looks like a whole bunch of other stuff. It's something you don't see on actual humans, but it's a design you see a lot in anime. So
that makes sense.
To see it on real humans really is strange. I'll agree 100% on that.
There's some things that make more sense in anime than they do in live action, but this movie is kind of also like a live action anime in a lot of ways. So
yeah, the soccer dive Godzilla does during that 4-way fight or a 3-way fight, 4-way fight
Yeah.
was insane. Just whoa.
If they did normal
World Cup shit.
If they did a shot for shot anime remake of this movie, I think people would fucking love it. Like if it were the exact same movie, but it was just anime, I think people would be so down.
So much better. It would do so much better than Godzilla Earth.
Yeah, I think so too.
And Singular Point.
That character has a rival. I don't have much to say about him because he's not a huge part of the movie. Really, just a vehicle.
No, he just yeets himself into the core of the mothership.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, the only reason I want to bring him up has nothing to do even with the character. It's because Kane Kasugi plays him, and he's Jiraiya Ninja Black in Kaku Ranger, which is like my favorite Sentai show, and he's so fucking good in that show. And he like to this day is like fit, like looks good. He's so like fit. And like when they did the reunion special for Kaku Ranger last year, the whole joke was that like the rest of them are like, you know, middle aged now, not as in shape. And he's the one who's still fucking just doing flips and is ripped as hell and looks good.
Amazing.
But yeah, character, not much to him other than the motorcycle fight that the two of them had.
The motorcycle fight was hilarious.
So good.
I loved it.
So
good. I loved it.
Yeah.
The fights are good.
They really are. That's the thing.
Silly and good and wonderful. I don't know.
I mean,
there's so much to love in this movie, not in spite of the bad parts, but almost because it does so much stuff.
And it feels like it's like kind of in conversation with people who complain about like, I'm here for the monsters. I don't care about the human drama stuff in it. And it's sort of like, okay, you know what? If you feel like that, I don't agree with you. But if you feel like the human drama in Godzilla movies is unimportant, then here's a movie where it's just a whole other fucking action movie happening. And there's literally never a dull scene with the humans ever in it. So you can't really complain about that if that's your primary complaint for Godzilla movies with this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. There's a couple other people that intersect with them. There's like the two sisters, biologists, Miyuki, that actress, Rei Kikukawa, has done a handful of things, also a TV presenter, but not a whole lot interesting. And then her sister, Mazi Mizuno, this is her first most famous role. And so I do like that, like, through them, you know, normally Godzilla movies have like your reporter, your scientist, your military person, and like Ozaki kind of fills the military role. You have Miyuki playing the biologist role because she's the doctor, and then Anna is the reporter. So you kind of get all of those sort of the normal trifecta you get in a Godzilla movie just through them.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah. I like the scene when they trick the Xilien who has taken over Daigo by like, she brings in like her own dog and makes him think that it's his dog. I like
who knew that cute little conversation about missing his dog was going to matter.
She brought her own dog Candy with her. It's a beautiful little black English bulldog. Just a cute little guy.
And like she's in the movie less than anyone else is. She's kind of out at a certain point, but I like that she gets that moment of like unmasking them on like global television. I thought that was really cool that she gets to have that. Very clever. I mentioned them, but I mean, we get like there's a handful of cameos from old actors, but there's 3 very significant ones, I think, in like major roles in this that honestly, like for 2 of them surprised me with how much they are in this movie. But like Akira Takarada and Kumi Mizuno, like front and center. And Kumi Mizuno looking fucking hot too, I must say. Like that woman has never not been one of the most beautiful people in the world.
Everyone in this movie was hot, which really did overcome a lot of the fact that no one in this movie can act.
I love that like they give like Takarada this like swap. He gets like a fucking like beard and like this like whole like suave like attitude about him. Like it's so cool. Like, and he gets to be part of the action stuff. Him and Kumi Mizuno too. Like normally I feel like they're like, you're the old people, get on this, you're playing an old general who's sitting in an office, but like they are in gunfights in this movie. It's wild.
Yeah.
Mr. Bullseye, that's what they called me at military college.
So good, dude. One of the other sort of reprisals from frequent Godzilla actors is Kenji Sahara in this, who plays the paleontologist that discovers Gigan. But unlike Takarada Mizuno, he I mean, famously, Kenji Sahara loved being a fucking weirdo in these movies. He does not get to be that. This is perfect opportunity for him to play an alien or some shit, and they just make him a scientist, and it's just like kind of left behind after a while, which bummed me out, honestly.
Yeah, me too. I got so excited seeing his name in the credits and was hoping so badly he'd get to be a freak.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because all three of these actors even being here is like so exciting and kind of like fucked me up for a second, because I was like, two of these have been here for 50 years. And then I had to go back and look like, surely they were children. And like, because the math did not make sense in my head. And they were like, Akira Takarada was 20 years old. So I was like, okay, I guess it makes sense. But that's still like, how are you here 50 years later? Yeah. So I wish all three of them got as much to do. Or at the very least that Kenji Sahara got to be a freak, but I'm glad to see him at all. Like he's, you know, it's so funny that I now have this like affinity for Kenji Sahara simply because I have now seen more movies of his than like most other actors.
So funny. I will say the one thing they did give him is the name of that character, Hachiro Jinguji, that he plays, was a pseudonym Tomoyuki Tanaka had used for a long time. So that was kind of a way to honor him. And I think Kenji Sahara was excited to be like, oh, I'm kind of honoring a guy who kind of like got my career started.
That's really cool.
I just wish in the movie itself he could have done more, but you know, it's okay. Other random cameos, Shelley Sweeney, who, you know, obviously the American blonde who showed up in multiple movies and minor roles. She cameos as like a captain of one of the ships. The obvious blonde lady, you can't really miss her. Akira Nakayo is the captain of the first Gotengo in this movie, and he was General Aso in like the Heisei movies, so we've seen him a bunch of times. Koichi Ueda has been in like 12 consecutive Godzilla movies. He's one of the crew members in the Gotengo. Oh, and the Shobijin were the same Shobijin actresses from Tokyo SOS.
Oh,
so they're also.
I was wondering. I forgot to look.
I thought it was really interesting that in one of the times when they were talking about Mothra, before we had seen, or right around when we saw the twins from SOS, there was a picture of the Peanuts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
There was. Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. Anytime I see my girls.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. That's also the thing that's funny about this movie is that it doesn't really like it is so unconcerned with like continuity shit. So there's like clips and stuff to movies from all sorts of different conflicting Godzilla movie continuities. Who gives a shit? Like Ghidorah shows up from Space Amoeba randomly, and one of the flashbacks has nothing to do with it. It's just like, here's a monster, here's Gyra, whatever. Like, and it's just, and all the paperwork has pictures of monsters from every possible Godzilla movie. Like that part of it, I do appreciate, is just a love letter to 50 years, where it's just like, this movie just exists in this weird little bubble where anything is possible. All things are true. All things are real. All monsters are here. Don't worry about it. I love that.
Yeah, as it should. Yeah. If it's going to be a 50th anniversary weird blowout, like, let's do it.
Right. The one monster we didn't talk about is tied to a couple of characters that have a subplot. We have like a kid and his grandpa, and they also have Minya/Manila, who you couldn't have predicted Manila was showing up in this movie, could you, Doug?
No, like, for what reason would I predict Manila would be here? And then it's so interesting to me that Manila is so separate from everything for so long that I was genuinely beginning to wonder, like, is this like what is going to happen with this, and how is it going to intersect, if at all? Like, I couldn't quite get a grasp on whether this kid was going to be important or not. And like, ultimately, not hugely, but when they are important, obviously they are very important, but never would have guessed. Is this supposed to be Godzilla's child in this movie?
Unclear.
I'm assuming so, right?
Why wouldn't it be? Might as well be. Like, there's some connection, but, you know, they don't go into it, you know?
Yeah, because the thing, I mean, it could be his kid or his grandkid, because
sure.
When they stand together back to back between Godzilla and the and human/mutant/grandfather or whatever.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, they're supposed to be an analog there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like, this Godzilla seems to have been like one who's just been here since 1954. Like, he's just 50 years old.
And the idea is that he's been giving him trouble on and off for years.
Right. Which is, you know, an interesting concept. And I think, you know, the idea of here's your original Godzilla. This is going to be the movie where he's convinced to just forgive humanity after he kicks a bunch of ass. Like, you know, I think that makes a lot of sense for a 50th anniversary ultimately. And it's kind of cute that like Manila gets to be the one that like communicates and like makes that happen ultimately. It's really, I don't know. It's fascinating.
Well, and I like that it echoes what happens when you meet Manila in this movie, right? Where the grandpa is ready to shoot and the kid gets in the way and says, stop, you know? So for it to come back later there's so little going on with these characters, but they still manage to do like a specific sort of echoey thing.
It's like the one bit of like heart in this movie that like feels very sincere. And a movie that's otherwise just like, who gives a fuck? We're going to do cool shit. That's the thing where it's sort of like kind of sweet. Like,
but Ozaki's greatest weakness and strength is his heart, Derek.
Oh, duh. You're right. It all makes sense. It all connects. Perfect movie.
I found a lot of parallels between that and Terror of Mechagodzilla and King of the Monsters, especially with the way that Godzilla sort of changes his way of dealing with the creatures that are on the earth, as opposed to just himself and the good of the earth. And I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot about how the films were made as well that were very similar, except that obviously Legendary couldn't throw money at King of the Monsters. Not that they didn't try. They just didn't have enough money to get like, there were 3 or 4 other monsters they wanted, like Hedorah, Anguillus, and I forget what the third one was. And they just couldn't afford it.
It is interesting.
Just the way like that you got the producers on board, the way that there were, you know, very specific things in pre-production that came from earlier pieces, and just it's very similar in my head for some reason.
Yeah, and big movies that are meant to be kind of big and throwing everything but the kitchen sink in, you know.
Yeah, the crazy ones. Yeah. Just this is everything, enjoy it. Take it as it is.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm glad to be here again after Destroy All Monsters, because it's the same kind of crazy.
Right.
Only like in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Where we got so much more option for crazy. I love to see Mothra just decapitate. I've never seen that happen before. Nope. Not with Mothra.
Nope.
And she just takes out Gigan from the head.
Gigan's head is separated.
Get ahead of the situation, I guess.
Gigan's head is separated from his body twice in this movie. Isn't his head like blown off
Poor guy.
first and then it's sliced off later?
Poor guy.
Poor
guy. Dude. I'm not sure I'd put it that way. I got that.
We sort of got burning Mothra in this, because she then ends up on fire and like totally
she does
like flies directly into him, blows him up, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Aggro Mothra.
Yeah, goddamn. Get it, Mothra. Hell yes.
And it's one of the films in which Mothra dies and we don't see another larva.
I think I read that there was like originally a little more of an expanded subplot, believe it or not, more lore in this movie that they originally had that they cut. That was, I think it's like maybe implied in this, but like much more explicit, that Mothra being able to defeat Gigan was kind of like a redemption story for her, because she wasn't able to defeat Gigan 5 million years ago and lost to the battle. So it would be a much more like very triumphant, like finally she did it this time. That's why like their rematch would be so important. And obviously they downplay a lot of that stuff. Like
they could have cut some of the mutant stuff just to put 2 more sentences about them.
Right.
Because there was 1 sentence, make it 3.
Right. It's because I do think that would have added a little more weight to the Mothra fight is cool. And it's cool to see her being so like badass in this, and decapitating Gigan and then blowing up. But I don't know, like, because it would have been I don't know. I think it would have added a little bit more weight to what was.
Doesn't she
going on
burn up in King of the Monsters as well?
I think she does. Yeah, she's definitely is dead at the end of that one. So
She fights Rodan, so
Yeah.
that checks out.
I like that after killing Ebera, again, just dudes with guns do it, mutants with guns. They have the line, "Sorry, I'm a vegetarian."
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing I remember about Ebira in the old films, was the only thing people will say about it, besides this kind of isn't great, is Godzilla could have eaten for like a week if he just had drawn butter, because that's how he wins. He boils him alive in the water, and that's how he wins. So to see them take out Ebira and then make a meat joke is not
So
a
weird.
great shocker.
So weird.
See, that brings in something I hadn't thought about before, which is like breeding kaiju for massive amounts of meat to help out with like global like starvation. They could have caught those Ebira.
Oh,
and
we have the film for you then.
Yep.
There is
2020's Monster Seafood Wars.
a beautiful movie. That movie is genuinely good. It is literally about eating kaiju, and it rules. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. That movie describes food incredibly well. Like, I want to eat the dishes they talk about. It's so good. It's so silly. It's off the wall hilarious. It's real good. We did a Patreon episode on that a while back. Yeah. It's very
I'm
good.
gonna have to track that down. That's too silly. Even
Yeah.
for me, that's too silly. I gotta ingest that.
Yeah.
Get a
Yeah.
little more whimsy.
Spare thoughts. I thought that Rodan's wind effects were really fun in this. I thought that they were really cool. The like glass showers that people were sort of falling underneath was like pretty cool. That's probably why they wanted him in New York, honestly. Just tons of glass skyscrapers and stuff.
Tons of glass. I didn't super like the scene with like the really weirdly like
With the stereotypical
stereotyped
No.
pimp and the cop. That was weird. But I did like when they have other random Americans and it's like that guy in a mesh top and braces. I don't understand what his whole design aesthetic was, but I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, the guys at the South Pole.
There were partners. I'm sorry.
They have to
They
be.
were certainly domestic partners.
Pink mesh top.
And-
Like, come on, dude. Like, his nipples were on display in that outfit.
I'm screaming. Oh my God. Oh, I didn't notice nipple.
Oh, yeah, I did. I sure did.
I
Yeah.
think I'm on the wrong side of the rainbow for that. Oh my God. In all honesty, it was so it was the weird perfect representation that we need. It was like, wait, are we supposed to evacuate? Nah.
Man, I don't know.
It's the most like 30 to 50-year-old gay man thing I've ever seen in my life. And I hang out. Like, that's my circle of people. We are pretty much just a bunch of gays and bicons. And just, it's the audacity to be that stupid. Beautiful.
Oh my God.
Beautiful work. Gay rights and gay wrongs. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Any final thoughts about the film Final Wars?
Oh, I really, really like it. It's candy. There's no substance to it. It's kind of like, in a way, it's like the first Suicide Squad film. It's not good, but you can put it on in the background and you'll have a great time. Have a couple beers, have an edible. It's a much better movie.
Hilarious comparison. That would turn off a lot of people too.
Throw every character at people, see what sticks. throw in a bunch of weird action sequences and a plot line and script that are truly bad, and you end up with a movie that's kind of amazing.
Yeah. And I think they know it. Like, they know what they're making. Everybody knows what they're making.
Yes,
you know.
everybody knew what this was.
Yeah. Like, Kitamura was like, I'm going to make a movie that I know how to make and that I enjoy making, and it's going to have Godzilla in it and all my guys, all the dudes that I like. And he did. And, you know, I'm glad that that's kind of where we're at with Japanese Godzilla movies, it seems. And I'm hoping that continues and there's more. And I think that there could have been more in that. I think the Millennium era was supposed to be that. It was supposed to be like every movie's a different thing with a different director, but it's still a lot of those movies outside of maybe like GMK and this one all did feel kind of samey ultimately. Mm-hmm. This one really does feel like it was embracing what the Millennium era was supposed to be and then what things end up being, which is bring in a dude who's going to make his own Godzilla movie and just see what happens. May or may not work. It's fascinating that they did that for the 50th anniversary. But I don't know that you get a movie that has this much stuff in it that is this memorable as feeling so distinct if you don't get a director just coming in to do his own thing for this movie either.
I think you're right. It opened up what a Japanese Godzilla film was going to be, just as Japanese Godzilla films were closing up.
Yeah.
It's sort of, it's a last hurrah feel.
Right.
And it's like, we know we're going to bomb. The last film didn't do great. We're winding this down. We realize this isn't going to make money. Fuck it. And I think anybody would love the opportunity to make a passion project like this.
Sure.
And this is, people... You're right. This is a very divisive piece, and a lot of people are just going to hate it because there's nothing in it that makes them, as a fan, as a watcher, just joyous. But they are in the vast minority. There is something in this film, even if it's 5 seconds, you will find something in this film to enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Final thoughts, Doug?
Yeah, final thoughts for this is weird. Well, because some of them are as a movie and then some of them are as like a finale to the era.
Sure.
As a movie, I mean, I've said a lot of it already. It's bonkers. It's wild. It's not necessarily good, but it's a ton of fun. They just kind of throw everything at the wall, and like, I'm here for that. As a finale to an era, it's strange because this is like an anthology era, but I do think it is kind of perfect to end an anthology era with just throwing everything kind of from the history minus Heisei like into the mix. I think that is like, it is weirdly appropriate. And I do think what's really strange is that it has this probably unintended, but who knows, like legacy of kind of ushering in a second anthology era with like all the Reiwa stuff, all that, specific filmmaker perspective that you were talking about. So
sure.
Really strange one. But it weirdly kind of fits exactly where it should,
Weird movie, fun movie, stupid movie.
Great movie.
There you go.
Great movie.
11 out of 10.
It is a movie of all time, but I loved it. I'm so glad you guys had me back, especially for this.
Yeah.
It's the kind of film that it separates different kinds of fans. For the fans that were literally like watching this on the TV as kids.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, they're gonna go into this really hype, really happy to see these characters, and they'll have a good time. If someone goes into it, expecting GMK.
Yes.
This is the complete other opposite of the spectrum, and I can see how a lot of people might be disappointed, but not me.
Yeah, it's fun. It's bad, but fun. I don't know. Like, I totally understand why people might think it's a bad movie, and I don't even disagree with them. But I do think it's a fun movie, and I think it's probably a very rewatchable movie. We'll see how many times I end up, actually rewatching it, but I think it's going to be more than 0.
Getting to share it with you guys was amazing.
Yes. Thank you for being here. Before we let you go, let's show off some cover art. We did have a guest artist. Brett Punk previously did our Violante art, did some art for this. I'll send it over right now. They did such an interesting choice for this.
Whoa.
They did a watercolor piece of this version of Godzilla.
With the big neck.
Which, considering how wackadoo and like the washed out 2004 aesthetic of this movie, I like that they're like, let's make a beautiful piece of art for this movie that like a lot of people don't find particularly beautiful. I think was such a cool take on this.
I really like this. The use of blue is fantastic. I love the fact that they just brought that over and to make a cool toned piece for this final run, especially since only one of the 2 cinema posters was cool toned.
Yeah, this rules.
I love it. Excited to see the release and to look at it for 2 hours while I listen to us be silly.
Yeah, you can find it on a uncut original piece on glitterjaw.com. We have our full cover art gallery of all the cover art that we have for all of our episodes. But you also, of course, find it on social media and our podcast apps. And I'll link to all of Brett's wonderful work in our show notes. Predictions, Doug. Okay, obviously no more Millennium movies, no more Heisei movies. You've seen all of the other movies from other eras. You have one movie left. That is the final film in the Showa era, Terror of Mecha Godzilla. It's weird, obviously, that we left that for last because that was the first finale, but I didn't want Final Wars to be the last movie you hadn't seen because it's such a weird movie. Like, a Showa era movie is going to be more of a normal Godzilla movie, inevitably. That felt like a nice full circle-y way to actually end it and let it be your last Godzilla movie. Not your last Godzilla movie.
Never watching one ever again, actually. So.
But the last one you've never seen that you'll be watching for the first time. So, a few questions. First of all, what do you think you know about Terror of Mechagodzilla at all?
I don't know anything about the movie outside of, obviously, Mechagodzilla's involved. And I think that I have at least one more monster to meet, because I believe there was something in the opening montage of this movie that I didn't recognize. So
I was wondering if you noticed
I think
that.
there is a monster in this next movie that I have not seen before.
Cool. Okay. Do you think Godzilla will die in this one, since it is a finale film? Technically, it's the last film of the Showa era.
No.
Okay.
I don't know if that's. I mean, not that no one dies in a Showa era movie or anything, but I don't get the sense that that's like Showa era's finale vibe. But I don't know. I also don't know, and this was the case with this movie too. Like, I don't know if Terror of Mechagodzilla was being made as a finale or with the knowledge of not having more. So that also could like change, whether they would kill him or not. But I'm not expecting him to die. Oh.
What kaiju do you think will appear then? I know you said you think there's another one. Obviously Mechagodzilla is in the title, and obviously Godzilla, assumingly, although Godzilla isn't in the title, maybe Godzilla's not in the movie. Who knows? What kaiju do you think show up in this movie other than the obvious?
I feel like we've been in a realm where like the monsters just exist, and we have like a relatively new Anguirus suit. Gigan's just been sort of floating around. I don't know, the titles of the movies aren't always super indicative, and if it is meant to be a finale, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, like Return of Ghidorah situation. But I'm expecting to see lots of the monsters that are already around. I think I'm seeing probably plenty of familiar faces.
Nice. Okay. Lauren, do you have any questions you want to ask Doug, prediction wise, or about the whole experience so far?
Yeah, actually, since you're almost done, has it been worth it?
Not even a little bit. No, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I genuinely, I'd only seen like a few Godzilla movies. And it sort of snuck up on me that not only have I almost seen all of them, but I've almost seen all of them, which is not a thing everybody even necessarily wants to do. And on top of that, I've seen all the feeder movies. So it's like an additional 15 movies or something that weren't even really part of the plan. And so it's now, yeah, I mean, it sparked other things. I've watched other movies that we're not covering on here just because this is what we've been doing, or because I've been waiting to watch a movie and had a craving, or it was Monster Seafood Wars and I was in the section at the library, you know, so yeah, absolutely worth it.
What have you learned? What is the most important thing either that you've learned or the thing that sticks with you the most? One of the actors, maybe it was a song, something like that.
We're gonna see if you remember any of the things that I've like told you verbally.
Anything
on this podcast.
I didn't
don't know
feel
if I even
pressure
remember
before.
everything.
No, I mean, I think
anything I've ever
don't
said.
Don't get a teacher. Don't get a teacher on your thing and on your podcast unless you're ready to get quizzed.
I mean, maybe I'm just not answering your question, but it's less about like facts I've learned, and it's more the interesting sort of experience of the stuff that I did know and the movies that I had watched were exclusively Godzilla only movies. I had never seen prior to this a single Godzilla movie that really had other monsters outside of, I think, 2014. And so like it really was an extremely narrow scope. So like, and maybe this is a cop out, but like basically everything we've talked about is something that I've learned. There really hasn't been anything I didn't know. Or there hasn't really been anything I knew outside of Godzilla itself and a couple different iterations of it. So having favorite monsters or having opinions on how certain monsters should be depicted, you know, thinking, having enough knowledge of Ghidorah to make a ridiculous claim that quadruped Ghidorah is correct. Like, these are not, I wouldn't have known anything to even make those types of claims before. So it really, I mean, truly everything has been me learning new stuff.
I'm so proud of you.
Aw.
I'm so proud of you. I'm really glad you've enjoyed this process. It is long. A lot of Godzilla fans don't do it. They don't sit and watch everyone. They certainly don't sit and watch the periphery, like the Mothra films or the Atragon films or any of that. You know, that y'all went deep, and it was really cool. And just to see the enjoyment actually continue. That's, you know, something that I can tell you've done this whole time is enjoy. And that was really cool as a listener and as someone who's been part of the show twice.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
That felt so good. I felt really, really grateful that I got to come and do this again.
Lauren, thank you so much for being here again. Where can people find you and all the cool things you're doing?
Right now, I am at laurengoodnight.bsky.social on my Blue Sky. Also, you can find me on Instagram at I am Lauren Goodnight, IAMLAURENGOODNIGHT. You can also find me just sort of messing around. I am easy to get a hold of and hard to find. And I like it that way these days.
Doug, what about you? Where's the best place to find you and everything you're doing?
Yeah, you can find me all over the place at Ikkybooley, ICKYBOOLEY. You can find me on a bunch of podcasts in addition to this one, all of which are with Glitterjaw, most of which are with Derek. So we obviously have this one, Skryonk, but we have a weekly Spider-Man deep dive podcast called Walloping Web Snappers. We are about to cover Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man again and in depth. So if you're excited for the second season to come out, come on over and prepare with us as we go through that first season again. You can also listen to me on Falling with Style, which is sort of the predecessor to this podcast, and we dust it off whenever there's a new Pixar movie. It's a Pixar movie marathon. We covered Toy Story 5. We had feelings about Toy Story 5. And you can listen to me on Novel Gaming, a podcast where my friend Katie and I catch up on the books, video games, and sometimes other media we've been enjoying lately. How about you, Derek?
Thanks. You can find me most places at Derek B. Gale. My other podcasts that Doug didn't mention include Gimmicks, where I look at high concept experimental structure breaking episodes of TV, and Lee Carvalho's Potting Challenge, where you look at the Simpsons tie-in video games. I recently guested on Bear Cave of Terror, talking about the 1990s Shin Kamen Rider prologue movie. If you want to hear me talking more Toku stuff and body horror, not dissimilar to some of the weird body horror in this movie. And I have some written pieces on Pop Heist and Kaiju United. I recently did a piece on Kaiju United on the movie Latitude Zero for Pride, because I think that movie is really gay and queer as fuck. And I wrote an article about why it is so gay and a perfect movie for Pride. If you'd like to find other queer creators who talk about media with podcasts like the ones Doug and I just mentioned, check out the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective at glitterjaw.com. Follow us on Blue Sky at Glitterjaw and on Instagram at GlitterjawPods. I would also plug our Glitterjaw Presents variety feed, which is a podcast feed that everyone in Glitterjaw is working together on. You're going to see episodes from basically anyone and everyone in Glitterjaw, as well as some friends on literally any subject, whether it relates to our podcast that we host or not, from short miniseries, crossover specials, odd experiments, and more. We've done an episode on our Pride 2026 playlist with song picks from hosts across the collective, and we talk about why we pick those songs. There's an episode on the 12 movies that made us queer that Doug is on, and I was on an episode about the television series Hacks and why it's great. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/wallopingwebsnappers. That's, of course, the name of our Spider-Man show, but it supports everything Doug and I do together, including Skrionk. You can find our episode on Monster Seafood Wars if you want. Listen to it there in addition to other bonus episodes. We also have a Discord if you'd like to check us out there and chat with listeners. Email us at skrionkpodcast@gmail.com. Rate, review, and subscribe on all your podcast platforms, and join us on August 13th for the Showa era finale, the last Godzilla movie Doug has not ever seen and will be watching for the first time, with 1975's Terror of Mecha Godzilla.
Very excited.
See ya.
Bye.